Hey guys, it's ViewMasters Reactions, and we're back with some origin moments from the Legend of Vox Machina, as they did in the Campaign 1 from Critical Role. I just watched 2.5 hours of pretty much just the entire episode of episode 35, part 1. I totally misunderstood a comment, and not misunderstood, I just missed one key word. It said watch part 2, and I watched part 1. Brandon Galvin was the one in the comments who said if you can't find origin content material, go to episode 35, watch the first couple minutes, you'll see how Scanlan disposed of Percy's gun after they attacked Orthax, and the whole Delilah thing happened and everything. I am very familiar with everything before that. Why? Because I just watched a 2.5 hour campaign rendition of the entire thing. Honestly, it was amazing. It blew by like nothing. It was almost 3 hours by the time I did my intro and exit, and it blew right by. I had no problem watching it. I'm going to chop that up after this because there is so much in there that could relate to the last 3 episodes of The Legend of Vox Machina. Mostly episodes 11 and 12. They tap into Briarwood getting incinerated. They talk more about Delilah getting tortured. They cut her arm off. They kill her differently. There's a huge fight with Orthax that must last in real time, like an hour, hour and a half, the way they did it. And I was hooked the entire time. Like every minute I'm hooked. I'm definitely geared for this kind of thing. People were saying, are you sure you could sit through a 3-hour campaign episode? I was gonna do it and then chop them up and edit them up as I saw fit, but I could easily sit through a 2 or 3 hour. I just did it, and I'm doing this now because I still can't get enough. Brandon Galvin, I apologize that I read your comment incorrectly, but it didn't lead to anything but more good things, because since there is no origin content material except for the one video I did of Arsqueef on Saturday, that was the Keyleth becoming light. That's the only one I could find amongst all the people that were posting them over the last month. Nobody's posted anything. So I'm going to get a jump on it, and I'm just going to post all the content I just watched. I'm going to chop them up into separate videos. I'm going to try to put them together as I see fit, like the Delilah scenes, the gun scenes, the Orthax scenes. There was other things too, but I'm going to try to piece them together where it's not a 2.5 hour video. I'm going to try to do like 20 to 30 minute segments. This one is going to be much shorter because I'm pretty sure in the beginning of this, we're going to get the whole gun and the acid thing probably done somewhat differently based on what I just saw that you guys are going to see after this. I can't imagine it being exactly the same because so many things changed just in what I just watched. Like I said, Delilah loses her arm and it cauterizes the wound, and then she runs away, and there's like a whole thing going on. She runs away, Cassandra, there's lots of other things. We'll talk about that later, but for now, let's jump into this. We'll talk after. You guys want to see more of what I do, full unedited episodes, all the shows on the channel, seasons ahead of what you're seeing, and hundreds of exclusives you only see on Patreon. The link is at the end. I'll be posting tons of content this week, and I'm also doing the Q&As for episodes 10, 11, and 12 tonight. So we will not be lacking in content. I also started Campaign 2, but because of all this, I haven't had a chance to edit that, and I thought it'd be silly for me to edit Campaign 2 when I haven't even finished things involving Campaign 1. So we're going to do that, and we're jumping in. This is the origin moments for Scanlan disposing of Percy's gun. This is where I left off, because I watched the whole first part 1.
In the dirt left behind her as she's just being dragged through it. You get to the second trap which you marked, and you guys make your way around it. You make your way to where the road diverges, the one way to the castle and the one to the acid pits, and Cassandra heads towards the acid pits.
See, what tricked me was in part 1, Scanlan takes the gun in the first 10 or 15 minutes, and then 2 hours later, he gives it back.
5 minutes.
Are we sure that this won't make anything bad happen if we throw our body into the acid pits?
I think it's fine. I think it's acid.
Okay.
I feel like
About 5 minutes of
Marisha's
the path
way
leads up
softer.
and crests, and there is a room that smells awful. It's similar to the kind of acrid scent that the room was filled with when the acid was pouring into the room. There's a whole series of other chemicals, and inside you can see there's a number of laboratory setups in here. You get the feeling this is probably where a lot of this particular acidic concoction that was fine-tuned for the Stone of Whitestone was created, or at least honed by Ripley. Without a beat, Cassandra just walks up to the edge.
I want to know more about Ripley. If anyone's got Ripley origin moments, tell me a timestamp. I'll go do that.
And then disappears beneath the surface as the hissing, bubbling noise takes over the silence of the room. She just sits there and just watches it sink.
Well,
She brought a lot of ill to this world. Don't feel too bad.
Sandra turns back around.
She was too dangerous to let live.
I mean, that's very
what
true.
about you? How do you feel?
I was like, what about you? What is that context?
I pull out the broken barrel and inspect it.
Looking at it, you can see Delilah's name is missing from the barrel entirely. Cassandra's name is still on the barrel, and so is Ripley's.
See, in the show, the gun just changed names at will. It had Grog, it had Vex. At some point, almost all their names were on it. So it's a little different.
Make an investigation check.
I had some thoughts, but yeah. 11.
Okay.
He looked very disgusted by that.
There, blazoned as to where they were before.
I'm going to just take the broken gun and point it at my sister.
That's risky.
Currently nothing.
All right, so I guess he's testing the smoke, but that's
I
risky.
think I may be all right.
Look at his
Why
face.
don't you toss that thing into the acid just in
Kind of what I'm
case?
thinking, yes.
I'm going to do something else.
Are you gonna shoot your sister like you just pointed your gun at her, or what was that about?
Testing, even if you say it's a test, that's
I'm gonna go over
weird,
to
like
the-
I said.
I'm going to go over to the little lab.
It's like I just want to see if I'd shoot her.
there.
Or I'd get angry and possibly shoot her.
Go ahead and make an intelligence check.
17.
17? Yeah, a brief look around, you can see there are many different compounds, different strengths of acid, kind of what a lot of the initial kind of experimentation was.
I'm going to start trying to scar her name off the barrel.
Okay. You take a moment and eventually manage to scar and dissolve enough of the exterior of that barrel until the name is no longer visible.
I think it's fine.
You think it's
Like I said with Silas's sword, I would not take chances on things like that.
I don't have any faith.
But you got
Here,
to
we'll
have
make a
faith
deal.
to
I'll
pick
let you
the
keep
pick.
that gun if you give me the other one.
No.
I'm so glad that your smoke monster is seemingly gone, Percy. That's wonderful news.
I love that Sam always looks devious. The whole last part, I thought he was up to something.
Back
Still a
there.
problem.
So we should probably figure out what to do
Well, I think
about that.
perhaps we can talk to Keeper Yenin, perhaps put together some priests, deal with that, enlist the help of the entire town now that there's no longer a revolution to be fought.
Yeah, that's a solid plan.
Oh, the revolution.
We forgot about that.
We should go stop the fighting. We should probably let them know it's over.
Guys, people are dying as we speak.
What do you mean it's not over?
Well, I'm sure they don't know that the Briarwoods.
Yeah, so they're all like,
So perhaps if we tell everyone Briarwoods are dead.
Oh,
Cassandra,
maybe we'll see Ripley on the way out.
wouldn't that be nice?
Probably not gonna
I just had a thought, Percy. I cast friends on him.
Okay.
is this how he does
I
it?
know how to fix your gun if you hand it to me.
Never in my right mind would I hand my gun.
Go ahead
So-
and make a persuasion check.
He must get a high roll.
Check, but you have an advantage on it. Or no, he has advantage on the persuasion. You do not have it on the
While they're talking, can I attempt to pull it off of his belt?
pull it off of Percy.
Percy's. My insight is 21.
I rolled a natural 20.
I was going to say he must add a hell of a
Cost me
roll.
So much money. Step back, I see Scanlan.
See, Talzin knows what's coming.
Okay.
He already said you're going to
You look down
cost
at
me
the
so
gnome,
much
and
money.
While he's normally pretty silly and jovial, in this moment there's an honest spark of his own inspiration in his eyes.
I'm so upset that I have to do this. Wink.
I love that pretty much they all know what's going to happen, and he has no control.
For like another 3 minutes.
Yeah, roleplay for 3 minutes, Taliesin.
I hand him the broken gun.
Begrudgingly, you reach out and. place
But
it
when
in
he
his
sees the
hand.
demon come out of it, like the show, at least if it happens.
I say thank you, Percy. I think in due time you will thank me for this. And I toss it into the acid. As I say, when the spell fades, he's gonna be super pissed. Somebody protect me.
Okay.
You want to hop on my shoulders?
Yeah.
But-
go run and jump on.
Does the demon come out in
You watch
the
it arc forward,
campaign?
in your head, you're like, that fucking gnome. The spell fades. You hear him say that. It just as it.
You're not going to get that, are you?
I reach in to try and grab it out.
Oh shit! Percy, and I
Guys.
reach out and grab his
He
hands.
threw it. You threw it though, right?
No, he dropped it.
He lobbed it. It wasn't.
Lobbed
It wasn't a
it.
huge throw.
I cost whole person at 3rd level.
On
As
Percy.
I reach up and I grab his hands as well.
Oh my god, everyone's stopping
so
him.
expensive. That was so expensive.
I don't blame them though. You can't take a chance. I still think it's crazy they have Silas's sword.
He's working against you.
If they do, I'm assuming the rapier they keep talking about is Silas's.
Saving throw?
Yes.
15, 18.
What's your DC?
My difficulty class 18.
You're like.
She's holding him.
Thank
I
you.
always
Keely.
fail rolls against Percy. It
you,
sucks.
A few moments pass. You don't even see it beneath the surface now. You just see a little bit of some fume released from whatever slow process.
Yeah, it's done. It's done now, but does the thing come out?
Yeah. You'll thank us for this later. I
He's
know it.
paying for a new one.
I kiss his cheek and say, "I'm so sorry."
He's paying for a new one. This entire arc was based on your revenge.
I'm gonna have to. Oh God.
As you're watching this, there's a small, from the fume, a small plume of black smoke goes.
See?
And that cold nugget in the center of your chest
Is gone.
is gone.
Yeah. It feels good, doesn't it?
Doesn't it feel good?
Fucking G.
No.
It feels good.
That was so expensive.
Oh, come on.
Oh, just throw the carpet
Even
in there now,
knowing-
why don't you?
Even knowing it was the right move, he's still
And
upset.
takes your head in her hands and forces you to look at her and goes, brother, we've all made sacrifices for this.
I mean, Towson's got to realize there's more than money.
Oh, that's a 21.
He's
19 plus 2.
He's held right now, isn't he?
I'm still holding him
Yeah.
in place.
I hold
And-
my fist way up high to Scanlan on Grog's shoulder for a silent little exploding fist bump.
I love it.
And she looks to you and goes, Cassandra gives you a look to,
You were never mother's favorite.
Let's not be petty.
She told me.
Let's not be petty, Percy.
You sure, Ultimate? You sure? Did you hear what he just said to you? You sure?
it came out as,
Nothing is being heard. I love
Let
it.
it go.
okay, your muscle control comes back to you, and Cassandra's holding your freshly slapped face, catches you again and goes, brother, let's go to our people. Let's tell them.
Not for nothing.
5 years. Why-
Percy's family now runs Whitestone, so to speak, right? So, like, I'm sure they could make you another gun or lend you some money or
She
something.
reaches over and she takes your arm in her
Bigger
arm.
and better than before.
Oh, God.
Promise.
She takes your arm in her arm and begins walking both of you back towards the tunnels.
Oh, that one was enchanted. Okay. 2 enchantments. Just, yeah, all right.
And with that, we're going to go ahead and take a quick bathroom break.
There we go. That was the scene. Brandon, thank you. I should have read it properly. All right, guys. So there we go. Brandon, thanks again for the clip. If anything, all I did was just watch 3 hours of more content that I will be able to edit up tonight and tomorrow. Maybe I'll do some this weekend. Like I said, it's a lot of content. I'm going to throw this one up. Oh, I should have probably changed that to part 2. That is the image that I see for part 2. I don't know why it's so distorted. For some reason, all the others have high resolution except part 2. But I just figured I'd put it up there because technically that's where we're in, and I figured you guys deserved that much. It just magically appeared after I was done. Maybe it was the gods of D&D forcing me to watch 3 hours of content that could all be used beautifully. And since I'm lacking origin content, what better way to do it? Like I said, we've got the Delilah fight that's fully extended, much more violent, much different way. Am I wrong? I feel like they keep bringing up a rapier, and I'm assuming that's Silas's rapier, which means that it didn't happen like it did in the show. Grog picked it up, saw himself in it. It kind of did like a weird noise and almost like a dark, faded imagery. Almost, I don't know. Things happen. I don't trust it. Obviously something's up, but Grog took it and nothing ever really came of it. In the first part, which you guys will see after I release all this, I feel like they said that Percy had it and then he gave it to Cassandra and then they killed Delilah with it. But I mean, let's not get into that. As far as this goes, as far as this went, we basically see it as it went down in the show. I mean, they drag it out a little longer in a good way. They like really go specific into details, what each character experiences and expresses as far as everything. Not only does Scanlan use a spell to basically deceive Percy to take the gun, but everyone else jumps in with him. I have to rewatch that scene exactly, because even though I've seen it 2 or 3 times in The Legend of Vox Machina, once I hear exactly scene for scene how it goes down specifically in the actual campaign, I have to rewatch the scene, because no matter what I remember in my head, I feel like when I hear things in the campaign, it alters my judgment of what actually happened. They did a thing like this in real life the other day. It was like a thing on your perception, which is funny because they keep rolling perception, but it was totally unrelated to this. It was just like a car goes by and then they go, now what kind of car went by? What color, what model, what this, what that? Everybody in the experiment said a different color, a different make, a different model, and all of them swore within like 80 to 100% certainty that they were right. And everyone, I mean, people were right. Some people were right. Like most people said the color right. Most people said the make or model right, but very few got all of it. And all of them were convinced they were right. So my point being that even if I seen the show 3 or 4 times, I'm still going to doubt myself on what actually happened in the show now, based on the fact that I just watched 3.5 hours of them specifically detailing the campaign as they did it. And obviously there's similarities and there's differences. So like I said, I got to go back and watch. But the way it went down here is they all kind of cooperated in restraining Percy so that Scanlan could get it. Scanlan, I feel like whenever the chips are down and they need a natural 20, it happens. In the part 1, which you're going to see later, Percy does it. I'm not going to spoil when or how, but Percy rolls a natural 20 when it was the best timing it could have been for that. And here I'm thinking, oh my God, does Scanlan roll a natural 20? Because what he's trying to do right now is pretty epic, I guess. He's trying to use a friend spell to deceive Percy and then have the ability to throw the gun in the acid and destroy it without Percy retaliating. We do have Keyleth and Vex assisting in this whole charade. And then Vax even says, I have a dagger focused on him just in case or something like that. But it doesn't matter. Scanlan rolls a natural 20, lobs it into the acid. Here's where I think it's a little funny. I understand Talzin or Percy in this case. I understand his anger and his frustration, like, oh my God, it had 2 enchantments. I'm assuming that is difficult to do. I'm assuming at this point, if we're almost to episode 36 and they're 3 or 4 hours and he only has 2 enchantments on the gun, they're probably hard to come by. It's probably a very rare thing. He said it was expensive as hell to even make, but his family is royalty. Even though I'm sure they'll be more diplomatic and everything, his family basically controls and runs Whitestone again now. We saw on the show they leave Cassandra kind of running things. So even though it's a game and maybe he can't get his money back or something, all he's got to probably do is be like, people of Whitestone, donate money so I could build a new gun because I destroyed mine to protect you. And that is basically the truth. He did everything he did for the sake of himself and his family and Whitestone, but his gun is destroyed due to this revenge demon, Orthax. So I feel like if anything, Whitestone should supply him with a new gun. I don't know how they're going to handle that. It probably won't come up, but I would have definitely done something about it. I would have definitely been like, all right, when I get back to Whitestone, I say, people, I will help you, but we need a gun. I don't know, is that selfish to take what little money Whitestone probably has? But I feel like now that the Briarwoods are out and we're back to normal, we could prosper. So I feel like gun reward is fitting for Percy. But the fact that Percy Tal'dorei, he's still so angry, even knowing that Scanlan took the coldness out of his chest. He took the cold, like, dark feeling that was left in him out. So clearly the demon Orthax was hiding in the gun or so weakened that it couldn't do anything because he held it to Cassandra and it did nothing. So either Orthax was hiding out or was so weakened he had no control and probably would have built that up again. My only other thing, and then I'm done and I'm going to jump into the other ones, is I'm assuming there was another way to do this. Now, there would have been risk involved, but I feel like Pike could have took the gun to that temple-like place that we saw in the Legend of Vox Machina or something similar and maybe blessed it. They said something in part 1 about having priests gather around the gun. Maybe they said it in this one. At some point today, I heard something in the campaign about priests looking at the gun and seeing if it still had evil tendencies or whatever the heck you want to call it. So, I mean, it's pointless now, but I'm wondering if they could have salvaged the gun by not throwing it in the acid and having the priest basically pull out the evil spirit. Like I said, it doesn't matter now because they already did what they did, but I feel like that could have been an option where Percy might have been able to keep his gun, but I still enjoy that Scanlan did what he did and everyone else assisted. And Percy, not for nothing, he has no room to yell at anybody or get mad at anybody because they just spent this entire arc. Vex wasted all her arrows, like all our people wasted all their shit and tons of time and effort and possibly risked their lives because of Percy's little arc over here with the whole darkness and everything. So he's the last that is owed anything. If anything, he owes all of them his life because they all went on this adventure to help him. So I'm jumping into more. Brandon, like I said, thanks. If you guys have any more time-stamped type origin moments that you think I should watch, because no one's posting them, I'll definitely watch them. I have this weekend to do it. I'm going to do the Q&A next, and I'm also going to chop up the 3 hours of episode 35 part 1 that I already watched. I'm going to do it in segments. We'll see how it comes out, when it comes out. You guys want to see more of what I do, full-on edited reactions, all the shows on the channel, seasons ahead of what you're seeing, and hundreds of exclusives you'll only see on Patreon. The link is in front of me. If not, comments down below, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.